Welcome folks, my name is Tom Beatty. I'm the chair of the Web Design and Development program at Newmont College of Computer Science, and today we're going to do some JavaScript programming. Okay, so we've learned a bit of JavaScript so far. We have created classes, and we've created functions, and we've done all sorts of outputting, but we're just outputting to the console. So what we really want to be able to do is output to a web page and affect the contents of a web page. And one way to do that is using innerHTML. I've got an empty script.js here, and I've got my standard index.html, which is just a template where we've added the script to load in script.js. But I'm going to add a div, which is a divider or division. And inside that div, I'm just going to say howdy. I save that and refresh my page, and it says howdy right there. Now, one of the easiest ways to affect the contents of this div from JavaScript is to give it an ID. And so I'm going to give it an ID equal, and we'll just call it demo. Make sure that's in quotes, double or single, it doesn't matter. Now, if you're unfamiliar with HTML, we've got these tags, this div. This is the open for the div, the open tag for it, and here's the close for this div element. You can tell it's a close because it has a slash in front of it. So we've got our open, our close, and howdy is the contents of that div. So I save that, I go into my script, and to target that div, now that it has an ID, I can say document.getElementById, open parens, and in quotes, I'm going to say demo because that's the ID that we gave that div. And now to modify that, I can say .innerHTML equals, and anything that I put in here is going to replace what's between the open and the closed div tag. So I could say hello world. Save that, refresh, and when the page first loads for half an instant, the div does actually say howdy in there, but then it reads the JavaScript, and you can see it switches to hello world. You can see real quickly howdy does appear there, but it's very fast and it's gone. Now, you may see some code where people will just go demo innerHTML. Technically that works. It's a terrible practice though. If you want to be able to shorten it to demo, that's fine, but doing it this way, demos in the global space, it's not a good practice. You really shouldn't do this. A better way would be to say let demo equal document.getElementById demo. And now from then on, whenever you refer to demo, it's referring to document.getElementById and the element that has an ID of demo. Now, on a single web page, IDs should be unique. Never use the same ID for two different elements. That's what classes are for. If you're unfamiliar with that, you should learn more about HTML. Eventually, I intend on making some tutorials on HTML and CSS for that matter. If those don't exist yet, then there are a lot of other good resources out there. Google can help you out. Okay, so demo.innerHTML equals hello world. And if we save that, that still works. Okay, now in HTML you can embed elements inside other elements, and one way to go about doing that is I could create a string. Let's say, I'm going to put that up here. We'll say let my contents equal, and you could say hello world, and then just say my contents, and this still works. Now, since this is actually HTML, we could go ahead and, make an H1 tag. It's a heading 1. Open and close. And all the attributes that are normally applied to a heading 1 will now be applied to your contents. You'll notice I've still got my console open. This is a good idea to have even if you're not outputting to the console, because errors in JavaScript will usually show up in the console. But I could click over here on Elements and take a look at my HTML that's been written. And here I've got my div with an ID of demo. If I open that up, you can see there is actually an H1 tag in there that says hello world. So JavaScript actually modified the HTML that's being seen by the browser. So if I come back here, I could maybe adjust my contents to have more than just an H1 tag. Maybe I want to put a whole lot in that div. Now, the old way of doing that might have been, my contents plus equals, and I could add to that. So this is my web page. I could save that. Well, let's put a semicolon at the end. Good practice. Refresh. Hello world, this is my web page. There's an easier way to do that since ES 2015 came along. Remember, before we've used backticks for string templating. Well, let me tell you the cool thing about backticks. Backticks can also be used for doing multiple lines, a multi-line string. So I could say, add another line, isn't this kind of cool? Put a period there too, just for fun. And I can add as much HTML in here as I want. Just put it in between two backticks. Put my semicolon there. And magically, all of that just works. So if you've got multiple lines of HTML you want to put in there, I'd recommend using backticks. It makes it a whole lot easier. But you should also understand that whenever you modify innerHTML, you are replacing what's currently in the contents between the open and close tag with whatever you're putting in there. So that's innerHTML, and if you can imagine, you can see a whole lot of things that you can do with it. We can now use our JavaScript to output directly to a web page. Alright, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I will provide more content in the future and keep it entertaining for you. Thanks a lot.